Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 5, Dennis Camp writing with Javier Rodriguez on the art. So the world, or yeah, I think it's the whole world, but at the very least the city is plunged into darkness because the White Martians' plans have taken off. And as per usual,
he stole the sun.
Yeah, as per usual with this book, it presents like just people being absolutely darkly vicious in ways that are like, you know, we've had people getting set on fire, murders, all that kind of stuff. This issue starts with a page. Now you don't get the full context of all of it until later, but it shows you 3 different villains or people who are affected with the White Martians' influence at the start. One is breaking up little bits of glass to cook with it, right? To put it in food. Someone else in a gas mask has got a bar of chocos, who we later find out is injecting stuff into them. What they're injecting, who knows, but it's probably bad. And then
yeah, it ain't good.
A guy who's in a sort of, I was going to say, it's kind of like a biker jacket, but it's got a clown in the back, so I don't even know if it is a biker jacket, but...
No, he's definitely greaser coated. From the boots up to the leather jacket, it just has a clown on the back.
But he's killing dogs. He's killing dogs, and the transition from that to the next page is that our main character, John, is talking to a woman about her dog going missing, and there's just a shadow of it left on the ground with a blood splatter next to it. And that sets up the other main thing in this issue. So the 2 big things going on is that this eternal blackout is making people go kind of loopy, right? And like more crimes are happening, people are doing bad things. But the other thing that's happening is that people's shadows are kind of like becoming their own thing and are doing their own thing. Some are working with the people that they're attached to. Some are becoming antagonists to the people they're attached to. And we see like even on this page here where this woman's shadow is picking up the shadow of the dog that's been left behind, like almost like nuclear bomb style. But she's crying in the foreground, so it sets up that there's kind of this disconnect between the people in the shadows, and it shows this in such an inventive way throughout the book. Where on the next page is like John and Jean are driving through the city. You see a guy who's looted like a mannequin from a clothing store, but his shadow's like sort of helping like hold up the back of it. So it's like 2 people carrying something, and it's like really weird. And given that this book started with this whole idea of the Martians being like this, like almost like non-corporeal being that's inside someone's head, like a second personality, the fact that we're getting to this point where everyone in the city has a second shadow form that's like interacting with them is kind of thematically consistent with what this book's been doing since the start.
Yeah, so, you know, I've been through some therapy sessions, you know, and in there you learn about your shadow self, and it's this, you know, from Carl Jung, psychology, and it's essentially, it's not like the negative side of you, it's the stuff that you hide from everybody. It's your shadow. And so, you know, when you're doing shadow work, you try to reveal that stuff and why you're hiding it, you know. And so here it's like you know, these are people's shadows going completely haywire because now they don't have to be hidden, right? It's almost these deepest desires. So when we see the guy looting, you know, it's finally, he's like given permission to steal, right? Now his shadow's helping him, or all the teenagers stealing stuff and burning it, right? Just causing mass chaos. You know, it's
so funny though, because that's obviously what it represents, is the idea of people let their dark side out because they don't think they can be seen, right? That's kind of what it's going for. But it's manifesting in this weird physical way where the shadow's a separate entity who's literally helping them carry things. It's just really, and there's some people who are arguing with their shadow. We see one guy who's like waving his finger at his shadow, and it's like a whole thing. But yeah, we get this whole like thing throughout the first several pages of explaining kind of the status quo and this gang that kind of worships the light, that, you know, so they've got like little torches on their scooters and stuff.
It reminded me of that scene in Batman Forever when Robin steals the Batmobile and he goes to the neon gang. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of them, but they're riding scooters, right? But yeah. So John's wife is still estranged from him, doesn't want him to be around, and she's just sitting with a shotgun with their son inside their house. But he has the Martian go up and check on her just to make sure she's okay. He kind of admits that she's good at taking care of herself, but he wants her to be checked on anyway, so the Martian's the one looking in. Which I thought was kind of oddly sweet, actually. And the natural light coming off all these like fireflies that are like flying around them felt very different to all the artificial light that other people are using throughout the, you know, the streets and stuff that we've been seeing.
So yeah, we come back to some of these earlier characters. The woman who was breaking up glass with a rolling pin is putting it into some cheeseburgers, and it's just lucky that John was going past this place, and the Martian's powers kind of sense that something was afoot. So he comes running in and tells them to not. And there's a great panel here when this woman who's been kind of affected by whatever is going on bolts out the building. Yeah. There's a panel where John's chasing her, and you've got the multicolored smoke coming out of her ears to kind of imply that the Martian's powers are detecting what she's been doing. But you've also got the shadow of her running down the opposite end of the alley, and the Martian is the shadow chasing the shadow. Mm-hmm. So it's really sort of showing you that idea of like the Martian's been the shadow to John this entire book, and they're kind of like teaming up now to take on the different entities. You know, one's taking on the physical, one's taking on the shadow form. Such a cool, like the art in this book has been so creative and how it like gets these ideas across. It's not that it's doing. Well, it's not that it's not pretty, but it's not like other comics where like, oh, this is just so gorgeous and we have to talk about how much detail there is. This is getting across complex, it's almost David Lynch ideas in its art style with how it presents things.
You know, one of the first things you learn in film school is that film is collaborative, right? Like the director works with the actors, works with the cinematographer, works with the editor. And I feel like the best comics always come off as collaborative. And I feel like all of our favorite writers work really well with our favorite artists because of that. So I feel like Fernandez here has... Fernandez, I always mess this up. Is it Rodriguez? Rodriguez. Rodriguez, I feel like, is inputting just as much as Dennis Camp is, right? To make this happen. And just the color work here, like that scene that you're talking about, when he busts into the diner and it's the soft blues with the purples and the oranges, right? So that makes the rainbows coming out of the ear, the rainbow smoke, really pop against the rest of it. And it really draws your eye to that. So then when you get to the bottom of the page and it's just the blue with the shadows, you really notice the shadows.
It's also
going the opposite direction.
It's got that Francavilla color scheme as well, where it's just blues and oranges for the most part on that page, except for that the multicolor smoke, which was obviously a recurring thing. So we've got that. We've got the choco bars. This kid wants choco bars, and then we see like this mad scientist, whoever he is, injecting with poison. And they do a whole thing here where he's walking into the store, but John kind of knocks him out of his hand on the way out and chases him. But this child who wanted one picks one up off the ground. So we're kind of left hanging as if this, does this kid eat this and die? We don't actually know. It's kind of left lingering.
That's his son, too.
No, it's not.
That's Tyler.
Is it?
Yes, it is. He's got the orange hair and everything.
Oh, they should just call him Tyler. You're right. Okay, I didn't think it was the mother and son. Very good.
That's the only way I picked it up, because of she called him his name. And then I looked, I was like, oh, he does have orange hair, doesn't he?
Yeah, I just thought it was a random, woman and son. I didn't think it was like his family. That's interesting. Yeah. So that's even more creepy then. But you get a bunch of other stuff where they're looking into various buildings and there's just bad things happening, people scared. And then ultimately an ambulance runs John down in the street. And he goes flying into the wall. So you get this whole thing here where like the Martian's kind of separated from him. He's down on the ground, and it's actually more people with these clown jackets getting out who want to come over and amputate him. They're talking like they're doctors, but they're not really. And John even says, "Are you a doctor?" And he's like, "I've got no idea."
How the hell should I know?
So very, very kind of sort of disorientating and creepy. So he's very vulnerable here, and it's almost like the Martian's in this black void trying to climb back to him to help him. So very, very good in that sense. But yeah, the cliffhangers as we get towards the end of the issue are kind of wild. So one is that there's a knock at the door where the wife is, and the kid's asleep on the couch, and she looks very and that's a great panel where the knock's inside her head, so you can sort of get this idea of like. It's almost like, when you get like startled by a knock at the door and it obviously stings into your ear. This kind of gives you that vibe because it's literally in her head and her eyes looking over. So it's a really good piece of art in that sense. However, the Martian, as he's crawling looking for like what's going on and maybe try to get back to John, he kind of follows a lead. He kind of sees something weird and cosmic happening. We see it reflected in his eye. So John's in trouble because this idiot with a buzzsaw is about to cut into him.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that wraps up next time. But the big cliffhanger with the Martian is that he kind of like sees what's happening to the world, and he kind of like looks up, and whether or not this is like so like the White Martian's working with them, or it's like a separate thing, and the like White Martian's just a part of the chaos that's happening that's feeding into what he's doing. But he's, for the first time in the Absolute Universe, we see Darkseid. Darkseid's first real appearance here is, for, unless I'm forgetting something, is in Absolute Martian Manhunter, and it's almost like all of the worlds, which are made up of these like colors that have been in the smoke, I guess representing the idea, it's the ID of the worlds, are all like floating towards Darkseid's hands, and like his white hands are kind of consuming them, and it's almost like Darkseid's like sucking in like everything in the universe because it's all fueling Darkseid, and it makes me wonder if like part of like Darkseid's big return is that he's eventually going to consume the entire Absolute Universe, and it's going to fuel him. And like this is something that the Martian Manhunter stumbled onto, and is seeing what the root cause of what the White Martian's doing is. Now, is the White Martian working for Darkseid? Is the White Martian just part of this universe that is inherently feeding into what Darkseid is? I don't know the answer to that, but this was a hell of a visual. And it took me a second as well, where I'm like, who's this? And I'm like, wait, is that Darkseid?
Well, because I looked at the face and I was like, that's not a White Martian. It's not white, right?
Yeah.
And then I looked and I saw the forehead, and it clicked, and I was like, oh man. And then even the like, he has like the pits on him that are putting up that red smoke.
Yeah, do you know what it almost felt like to me? It felt like he's consuming all of these worlds that are full of different colors, and whatever he's doing, like, it's just coming out red. It's almost like he's expelling just red. It's almost like he's turning it all just into hate or anger or whatever.
It's the Omega Force, right? It's whatever he's using to fuel this universe. Because when the Manhunter gets knocked through this, or the Martian gets through, he says it has something to do, where was it? Before light, pre-creation, it was, right? And the narration comes in that's different from what the Martian's saying. So the White Martian has trapped trapped us all. So I'm wondering what this has to do with the White Martian. Is he being able to essentially exploit the fact that Darkseid's doing all of this, right? And through this, it's feeding the White Martian. Like, just the whole premise of Darkseid is, and the anti-life is kind of fueling what the White Martian is doing. And now they're kind of trapped in this kind of reverb echo, right? And it's this that, by, like you said, almost by accident, the Martian has found that Darkseid is the point of creation for this universe. And he calls it, the obscene dreamer, creation's burning tiger force, the cosmic secret origin. Right? Yeah. And
it's interesting because it's almost like he's discovering that creation itself is flawed because this entity's at the center of it. It's not like something good. And I especially like, in that last page, after we get that full page spread, John lying there about to be cut into mumbles Darkseid is. It's this idea that, the Martian is still inside him. He's still connected to him. So he's mumbling this as the Martian's like sort of seeing inside the universe, or whatever, however you want to phrase it. Like, is it? I mean, it's a kind of metaphysical to actually describe what's going on here. But hell of a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
didn't see it coming.
And the way that he says it as dark side, it merges it with this whole concept of the shadow self, right? Of the dark side of your being.
It's also upside down, as we should probably mention that as well.
And it's upside down. And then the Martian says beginning and everything, right? So that's a whole vibe that we get that again, like we did in Superman.
That was the thing that made me feel like this is like, whatever Darkseid's doing is going to ultimately destroy the absolute universe if he's not stopped. Is this idea it's the start of the apocalypse? But I like that read on the Darkseid is though this idea that it's hyphenated because like these shadows represent everyone's dark side. So that's kind of what's happening here. I would never have predicted that Absolute Martian Manhunter would have started feeding into the Darkseid stuff before anything else really did from the Absolute side, but I'm pleasantly surprised, and it fits so well thematically into everything that it's been doing that it feels so natural.
Yeah, it doesn't feel forced. It felt like even if this was just a miniseries, this was the first breadcrumb that was dropped was through Martian Manhunter because of what
because
they're
this
exploring.
this would have been the penultimate issue had it only been 6. Now maybe they've rejiggered things a little because they knew they were getting more at a certain point, but you could see the next one being the last one and it being wrapped up quickly. But obviously, I'm glad that they're getting 12 issues to really flesh this out.
Well, and we keep talking about the cosmic horror of Darkseid. This really hits that as like that version of Darkseid is something that we're not meant to see, right? And it would make the normal brain go insane. But to the Martian, right? This is the type of stuff that he's meant to see, I don't
even know if he is meant to see it. Like, it feels like he, gets to it.
Yeah, but he's able to perceive it in a way that we wouldn't be. You know what I mean?
But I don't think he's meant to see it though. Is what No. I
misspoke. I meant perceived, right? Because that whole thing in cosmic horror that you cannot perceive the old gods, right?
Yeah.
These are beyond description or whatever, and that's what drives humans mad. Is here, it's kind of that version of Darkseid, and it's through the Martian that we're able to see it. So yeah, just again another solid outing from Dennis Camp.
Yeah,
and,
it's excellent
Javier
stuff. It was such a surprise when it started. I didn't really know Dennis Camp's game. I was unfamiliar with it, but I apologize for that. Matt, what are you giving Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 5?
I'm gonna give this a 9. This was really good.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I'm even tempted to go 9.5. I'll stay with a 9, but I'm even tempted to nudge it a bit higher. Spectacular stuff. Really tough to fault.